Imagine sitting in your perfectly temperature-controlled smart home.
Okay.
You've had a really exhausting week, and you decide to treat yourself.
Sounds good so far.
Right, so you pull a large piece of double chocolate cake out of the fridge. You sit down on your couch and you take that first glorious bite.
Yeah.
But as you do, your smartwatch vibrates. A notification pops up on your smart glasses.
Uh-oh.
Because of that single piece of cake, your health insurance premium just went up by 2% for the month.
Wow.
Yeah, your own house has just financially penalized you for eating dessert. Welcome to the deep dive.
It is a striking image.
Today we are stepping into the not-so-distant future of what our sources call the lab home.
And it really captures the core of the material we're looking at today. We're exploring a comprehensive and, frankly, somewhat alarming text.
Definitely.
It projects the future of insurance, constant biometric surveillance, and how they directly impact physical health.
Because the author outlines a scenario where our homes basically become clinical laboratories, right?
Exactly, constantly monitoring our every biological metric.
So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how we navigate this massive collision between smart home technology and our well-being.
Right.
Because the source material argues that the very systems being designed to monitor and protect our health
Might actually be the mechanisms destroying it.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Let's look at the fundamental shift in how risk is managed.
Good place to start.
We all know insurance has always relied on a collective risk pool, sharing the financial burden of the unknown across a large group of people.
Yeah. But the text suggests that technology is fundamentally breaking that model.
Because of the data.
Right. That historical model of mutual support was entirely dependent on a lack of perfect information. It relied on the fact that society didn't know who was going to get sick or when.
Nobody had a crystal ball.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But lab home technologies introduced something completely unprecedented, which is absolute transparency.
Meaning there are no secrets anymore.
None. We're talking about environments packed with sensors, wearables, constant data streams, monitoring everything.
Heart rate variability, your dietary habits.
All in real time. When you eliminate the unknown through this kind of granular tracking, you effectively destroy the protective nature of risk sharing.
Because if the algorithm knows your exact statistical probability of having a heart attack,
Based on your real-time sleep data and diet,
right, then you aren't in a shared pool anymore. You are isolated.
the dynamic shifts completely from society sharing a burden collectively to an intense regime of individual cost management.
The communal aspect just evaporates.
You're suddenly on your own,
Yeah.
bearing the immediate financial weight of your real-time biological data. Every action is measured, analyzed, and priced.
And that leads us straight into what the source text calls the biometric deadlock.
Yes, the paradox.
It is a massive contradiction. We have an insurance and technology infrastructure that's theoretically designed to optimize your health.
Right.
But according to this analysis, it ends up doing the exact opposite.
The text outlines the immense psychological toll of this system, starting with a state of what it calls hypervigilance.
Because you are always being watched.
Think about the sheer mental bandwidth required to live in an environment where every minor action is evaluated for a financial penalty.
Like eating that dessert I mentioned.
Or if you decide to skip a single workout because you're tired.
It isn't just a lifestyle choice anymore.
No, you're triggering an immediate economic consequence.
Imagine your own mental state in that scenario. You are living under a microscope 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's surveillance stress on a level we've never really encountered.
You aren't just being watched. Your biology is being monetized against you in real time.
Yeah, and this is where the physical breakdown begins, according to the research.
It's a physiological toll.
Yes, the constant threat of financial penalty induces severe anxiety, which traps the individual in what the source terms the cortisol trap.
Because of the stress hormone?
Exactly. When you are stressed, your body releases cortisol. Now, in short bursts, cortisol is highly useful for survival. It helps you escape immediate danger.
Running away from a predator.
Right. But the text specifically points out the physiological dangers of chronic high-level cortisol release caused by endless financial anxiety.
Your body essentially thinks it's constantly running from a bear.
Yes.
But the bear is just your smart thermostat reporting your lack of sleep to your insurance provider.
And that chronic stress actively weakens the human immune system. The sources specifically note it causes persistent sleep disorders, alters metabolism, and perhaps most dangerously triggers cardiovascular diseases.
Wow. So the sheer stress of trying to maintain your health data to afford your insurance is literally causing your heart and immune system to fail,
Yes,
which creates this vicious cycle. The text describes a literal self-fulfilling prophecy, a complete feedback loop deadlock.
it really is.
If you think about the mechanics of it, you fear a premium increase, and that fear makes you stressed. That stress, as you just explained with the cortisol trap, makes you physically ill.
And in a lab home environment, that illness does not go unnoticed.
The sensors pick it up.
Immediately.
Mm.
The smart sensors, maybe the biometric pad under your mattress or the smartwatch on your wrist, they detect that your stress levels are elevated.
Your sleep architecture is fragmented.
Your resting heart rate is up.
Because the sensors detect the physical symptoms of that stress, your insurance premium automatically goes up.
Yes.
And what does that higher premium do? It causes even more stress, which triggers more cortisol, which worsens your metrics. You're stuck in a relentless spin cycle.
What's fascinating here is how the system effectively cannibalizes its own stated purpose.
It eats itself.
It becomes a closed loop that actively makes you sick instead of healing you. The absolute transparency of the lab home doesn't empower the individual.
It corners them.
Their natural evolutionary responses to stress are instantly weaponized against their bank accounts.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because this cortisol trap doesn't apply to everyone equally.
No, it doesn't.
The source material zooms out from the individual to look at the broader macroeconomic impact. It introduces the concept of health elitism.
Which is a crucial point.
It asks a very uncomfortable question. Who actually gets to escape this biometric deadlock?
The source projects a very clear societal divide resulting from this structure. It presents this not as a political failing, but as a systemic economic inevitability of a free market biometric system.
It suggests society will fracture into two distinct groups, right?
Yes, so data hiders and the data sellers.
So who gets to be a data hider? Is this just a new luxury for the top 1%?
That is what the analysis neutrally points to. The wealthiest individuals will have the financial privilege to simply opt out of the surveillance entirely.
How do they do that?
They'll be able to afford the exorbitant baseline insurance premiums required to keep their privacy intact.
So they just pay more up front.
They essentially pay a premium to keep their data hidden, protecting themselves from the hypervigilance and the cortisol trap. Their homes remain sanctuaries.
Meanwhile, you have the lower and middle income groups who become the data sellers.
Exactly.
Ask yourself, if your premium was going to double tomorrow, how much of your daily privacy would you be willing to sign away today just to get a discount?
For most people, the answer is whatever it takes to remain insured. They won't have the luxury of paying high base premiums to maintain their privacy.
So they have to trade their data.
To get any kind of affordable rate, they will be forced to expose every second of their biological lives to algorithmic surveillance,
Privacy becomes a luxury good.
while constant surveillance becomes the required currency for everyone else.
The text takes this a step further and introduces this heavy concept of genetic determinism.
Yes.
And this isn't just about behavioral tracking anymore, like skipping a run. We are talking about being structurally marginalized by your own DNA.
It goes much deeper than daily habits.
How does the lab home even factor genetic traits into a monthly premium?
Think about the integration of data ecosystems. Imagine your smart fridge syncing with your DNA ancestry results.
Wow.
Or a smart toilet analyzing your biological waste to detect biomarkers. If insurance algorithms are allowed to ingest that data, they're no longer just pricing your daily choices.
They are factoring in immutable, innate genetic traits.
Exactly. If the algorithm decides your genetic baseline risk for early onset diabetes or a specific cancer is too high, you are penalized.
A system where your biological blueprint locks you into a financial tier that you can never escape.
No matter what you do.
No matter how much broccoli you eat or how many miles you run, you are financially punished for the genetics you were born with.
The text argues that this specific use of absolute transparency risks creating a rigid digital caste system.
A digital caste system.
It is a structural stratification based on biological destiny rather than personal choice or communal support.
It is a terrifying projection for the future of our living rooms. But the source material doesn't just outline the dystopia.
Thankfully, no.
It spends a significant amount of time offering a framework for breaking this deadlock, because we aren't going to just throw our smart thermostats out the window.
Right, the technology itself has incredible potential for preventative medicine.
The author is very clear that the sensors and the data aren't inherently the problem.
The issue is the unchecked framework in which they operate.
Right.
The text outlines what it calls a new social contract to govern biometric data.
So how do we fix this power dynamic? If I'm sitting in my house generating thousands of data points a minute, how do we keep the tech but ditch the dystopia?
The first major solution proposed by the text is the implementation of biometric data shields.
Yeah, okay, what does that look like?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is about robust, proactive legal regulation. The sources suggest that governments must step in and enact strict boundaries,
Boundaries on what exactly?
fundamentally limiting what kinds of data insurance companies are legally allowed to access and process.
Right, the text mentions banning lifestyle data from premium calculations entirely.
Exactly. So those momentary diet choices or temporary fleeting stress spikes tracked by your smartwatch simply cannot be legally factored into what you pay.
It creates a firewall between your daily human behavior and your financial standing.
A crucial component of this biometric data shield is a mechanism the text calls a threshold guarantee.
Which is designed to kill the hypervigilance.
Yes, it's a legal safeguard, mandating that premiums cannot fluctuate from day to day based on real-time data.
So no daily penalties.
Instead, premiums can only be adjusted periodically, perhaps every 6 months or once a year, and they cannot exceed a legally capped percentage increase.
That immediately changes the psychology of the home.
Dramatically.
If you know your rate is locked for the next 6 months, you aren't going to suffer a cortisol spike every time you sit on the couch or eat a piece of cake.
You break the feedback loop.
Because the immediate financial threat is removed from the equation.
It restores a necessary buffer.
Mhm.
But the text also addresses the structural imbalance of power between the individual and the corporation.
Right, because as a single person, I have zero leverage against a massive insurance provider.
Not at all.
If they demand my data in exchange for coverage, I don't really have the power to negotiate those terms of service. Does the text offer a way to balance that scale?
It does through a concept called data unions.
Data unions, I love this idea.
The idea is that instead of you as an isolated individual trying to negotiate the sale of your deeply personal biometric data, people would pool together.
Like thousands of people.
Hundreds of thousands or even millions of people could combine their anonymized health data into massive data cooperatives.
It's the power of collective bargaining, but applied to the digital age.
Exactly. By negotiating as a unified bloc, the data union shatters the pressure of individual surveillance.
Because the company needs the data.
The insurance corporation needs vast, sweeping data sets to train its predictive models and function effectively in the modern market.
So if a data union controls access to a massive portion of that required data, the corporation no longer has the leverage to bully one single person with a premium hike.
The union negotiates the terms of data usage, ensuring privacy protections and fair pricing for all its members.
I love how that fundamentally rethinks data ownership. It transitions us away from just blindly clicking agree on a predatory terms of service pop-up.
And moves us toward a collectively bargained contract.
Now, the third solution shifts focus to the technology interface itself, specifically the role of artificial intelligence inside the home.
Yes, the source text argues for mandatory psychological filters.
Targeting the user interface of the lab home.
As we discussed, the hypothetical system operates on punitive fear. Your heart rate is up, your premium just increased.
Which causes the stress.
The text suggests that the AI managing your home needs to be structurally or legally mandated to use a psychological filter based purely on encouragement.
Removing the financial threat completely.
This requires completely severing the financial data systems from the daily health feedback systems.
So instead of a terrifying alert about your bank account on your smart glasses, the house might say something completely different.
Like, hey, it looks like your sleep architecture was poor last night, or your stress markers are high. Take some time to rest this week.
It is utilizing the exact same underlying biometric data.
But it presents it as a tool for your personal well-being rather than a threat to your livelihood.
It changes the lab home from a warden back into a supportive assistant.
It allows the technology to fulfill its promise of preventative health care without triggering the cortisol trap.
And there's one more piece to this.
The final solution the text explores is perhaps the most traditional, but applied to a modern context: a state-mandated solidarity quota.
Because even if we implement data shields and data unions, the underlying reality of human biology remains.
Yes.
Some people will simply be inherently healthier, and others will require significant ongoing medical care. How does the text propose we handle that in an age of perfect data?
The source approaches this impartially as a systemic requirement to maintain a functioning society.
Reporting on the necessity of a structural mandate.
It suggests that to prevent the complete abandonment of the most vulnerable or genetically predisposed members of society, there must be a solidarity quota.
What does that entail legally?
It would legally require that the healthiest and lowest risk individuals, those who the algorithms deem the most profitable, continue to subsidize a specific portion of the costs for the highest risk groups.
So overriding the algorithm to ensure the fundamental human concept of mutual aid doesn't get optimized out of existence by a spreadsheet.
Keeping the original risk pool alive.
The healthiest 20% subsidize the bottom 20%, regardless of what the real-time biometric tracking says.
It forces the insurance system to remember its original purpose, managing uncertainty and risk as a collective society rather than strictly punishing or rewarding individuals for their unavoidable biological realities.
So what does this all mean?
It's a lot to take in.
When we look at all these pieces together, the biometric deadlock, the rise of health elitism, and these proposed solutions like data shields and unions,
Yes.
the source text leaves us with an incredibly powerful metaphor to sum it all up. It suggests that if we turn our lab homes into hyper-efficient financial audit centers, our homes stop being sanctuaries.
They stop being places of rest and peace.
Instead, they transform into stressful stock exchange floors, where we feel like we could go biologically bankrupt at any given moment.
It is a profound observation on the limits of quantification. The text reminds us that technology can, in theory, provide us with perfect data.
But perfect data does not inherently equate to a perfect life.
In fact, the aggressive pursuit of perfect data, if misapplied through punitive financial frameworks, can actively destroy the quality of life and the physical health it claims to optimize.
The answer the source arrives at isn't a rejection of the technology itself. We shouldn't throw the smart sensors away.
The answer lies in fundamentally changing the paradigm of data ownership.
We need to actively build legal and ethical frameworks like the data unions and threshold guarantees.
Frameworks that prioritize human dignity over corporate surveillance and algorithmic efficiency. The technology must be tailored to serve the psychological and physical needs of the individual, not the financial goals of the risk management industry.
It's about ensuring the smart home works for you rather than you working for the smart home.
And this raises an important question, one that extends slightly beyond the immediate text, but is absolutely essential to consider as we move deeper into this era of connected living.
What's the question?
If the very walls of your house, the watch on your wrist, and the mattress you sleep on are constantly measuring your biological worth in order to negotiate your financial future,
Yeah.
who is actually the master of your home? Is it you making independent choices about how to live your life? Or is it the algorithm silently directing your behavior through the invisible threat of continuous financial penalty?
That is a chilling thought to leave on. A true role reversal between the human and the house. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. As always, we encourage you to stay curious, keep questioning the data ecosystems around you, and honestly, don't let an algorithm make you feel guilty about that piece of chocolate cake. See you next time.